Chapter 81 The Golden Triangle. My son doesn't even need such an awkward nickname. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Instructing the group of teenagers and girls who looked like they had been given blood to do the final training, the young man left the school and returned to the base. He still needs to do further research on the fusion ring, and he also needs to continue trying to develop and train the immortal mode. However, because natural energy can currently only be obtained from soul bones, the synthesized magical energy is also quite limited. Every time he opened it, Chen felt extremely heartbroken. The training immortal mode is no different from burning gold soul coins. There are hundreds of them every minute. They were all obtained from other places through hard work. If you use one piece, you will lose one piece, but there is nothing we can do about it. Since we have decided to go to the Star Forest on the way, it is better to adapt to this trump card as soon as possible. There is also the Flying Thunder God, which is the key to his survival. Boom. A buzzing explosion sounded in the training base, and the boy entered new training again. At the same time, in Wuhuan City Academy, Yin Luo's team was also training hard. In the Tianshui Academy garrison, Qiu Ruoyan and the girls tried new tactics, and from time to time they took out the ranking list and took a look at it, showing an expression of infatuation. Where the blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex was stationed, the long-haired boy laughed arrogantly, and thunderous thunder exploded, shattering everything around him. Yu Tianxin leaned on her face and looked on with envy. In the garrison of the Star Luo Empire, the blonde boy and the black-haired girl looked at each other tenderly and affectionately, their souls blending together. Davis next to him had a look of disdain on his face, but would peek at him from time to time. Zhu Zhuyun hugged Davis's arm in envy, but did not push him away despite being disliked by the former. All this happens in the areas of major powers. The trading of information, the sale of soul tools and even soul bones is in full swing, and the torrents and undercurrents are all surging more crazily, and in such a tense atmosphere. The day flew by. There are only a few hours left before the game officially starts. Late at night, Wuhuan City. Perhaps tomorrow is the day when the official competition begins. And this city that has been noisy for countless days has finally calmed down a little. Although it was still very lively, it looked a bit like a normal city compared to the previous days. Click. In a hotel in an alley, a sneaky figure gently closed the door, turned sideways and held his breath for a while, listening. Seeing no reaction from the woman inside, he breathed a sigh of relief and tiptoed away. It wasn't until he walked under the streetlight that the figure straightened his back. His face also emerged from the darkness. It was Yu Xiaogang. Yu Xiaogang tidied her hair, smoothed the wrinkles of her new clothes, took pictures of the puddles on the roadside, and nodded contentedly. Donger must have missed him very much when he saw him looking like he looked like more than 10 years ago. Yu Xiaogang couldn't wait to see the unrivaled beauty of the Pope holding him in his arms, and then he could comfort him and talk about the difficulties, and persuade Erlong and Donger to live in peace and embrace each other, and reach the pinnacle of life. Yes, this is the confidence that the name of the Golden Triangle brings to him. When he thought of his happy life in Wuhuan Palace, Yu Xiaogang felt like he could wake up from his dreams with a smile. Just as he was walking happily towards the Wuhuan Palace, he didn't notice that a pair of red eyes full of hatred were quietly staring at him. What, not allowed in? Yu Xiaogang stood at the foot of Wuhuan Palace Mountain, frowning and looking at the white-clothed deacon in front of him. Do you know who I am? The deacon in white was also depressed because he couldn't go to the competition site for duty. He almost laughed out loud when he heard this. Who are you worshipping? He looked at the black-haired young man in front of him with a half-smile expression on his face. No. Then which elder must you be? Not me either. Ah, I see, you must be a high-ranking consul in the papal palace. This should have been counted before. Yu Xiaogang stuttered in embarrassment. Thinking about it carefully, it seems that I really have no official status. Well, you are neither this nor that. Then why should I know who you are? The deacon in white raised his voice a few degrees in vain and pointed to the sign in front. Read the words on it for me. Reception hours 9:00 m, 5:00 p.m. Yu Xiaogang, who was startled, read it subconsciously. Then don't you look at what time it is now? Don't others need to rest? The deacon in white glared at Yu Xiaogang fiercely, ignored him, and returned to his seat. Yu Xiaogang. He looked at the sign in confusion. How could he remember that there was no such thing before? Speaking of reception hours, when did Wuhuan Palace still have this kind of business? It looks like you are from out of town. It is said that this was His Royal Highness the Sun's idea. It is said that getting close to the people properly can enhance cohesion and affinity. The deacon in white glanced at the dumbfounded Yu Xiaogang, but we don't understand this mysterious thing. We only know that with this rule, we can see the Pope crowning him every day. I didn't know before that our new Pope is such a good person, strong, beautiful, gentle and humble, and even personally guides us mud-legged people on cultivation issues. A longing smile appeared on his face. It's worth dying to serve such a Pope. Wait. What is this and what is it? After hearing this, Yu Xiaojiang's brain went haywire. There's nothing wrong with being strong and beautiful, but what about being gentle and humble? Could he not know what kind of personality Bibi Dong has? Also, where did the Son of God come from? How come he didn't know anything about it? It must be that he had been away for too long. Has the spirit hall changed so much? He shook his head, interrupted the white-clothed deacon who was sighing, and said seriously. I am Yu Xiaojiang. However, the expected scene of the other party's surprise and respectful release did not appear. Instead, he was greeted with a pair of puzzled eyes. Which Yu Xiaojiang is it? The white-clothed deacon thought for a long time but couldn't remember who this was. The first person in the Wuhuan world in theory, master, that Yu Xiaojiang was immediately anxious. He grabbed the white-clothed deacon. Do you know the wisdom corner in the golden iron triangle? I haven't heard of it. Alas, are you annoying? I told you to come back tomorrow morning and someone will receive you. The white-clothed deacon impatiently shook him off and muttered as he walked away, nowadays, anything can be called a master. The golden iron triangle, and the wisdom corner, how childish. My son doesn't even need such an awkward nickname. Hearing this, Yu Xiaojiang was like being hit hard. He opened his mouth and suddenly remembered something. He took out a sign from his clothes and took 2 steps forward. Just as he was about to open his mouth, he was grabbed by a hand. There's no need to take out this thing, Mr. Yu. A clear young voice came from behind him. Yu Xiaojiang turned back in surprise and saw a pair of boys and girls slowly walking over. The blonde girl was extremely beautiful, and her beautiful eyes looked at Yu Xiaojiang with scrutiny. The boy looked a little younger, with silver hair shining in the moonlight and black eyes with a strange smile. I'll take you up. Chapter 83 Meeting and Ignoring. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Although in Su Chen's opinion, the Pope is now a completely different person from before, there are more and more smiles on his face, and he no longer suppresses the madness and despair. He may not be completely relieved, but he will not continue to shout about destroying the world. She obeys his arrangements every day, and her relationship with Chen Renxue is getting better and better. In short, everything is moving in a good direction. The arrival of Yu Xiaojiang surprised the boy, but it also made him realize a problem that he had to face, that is whether Bibi Dong really let it go. If she completely let it go and focus on her career layout, it would be the best, but if she still has feelings for Yu Xiaojiang, thinking of this result, the boy narrowed his eyes, and the murderous intent in his eyes flashed. At that time, he could only force her to make this choice, whether from the perspective of a friend or a collaborator. He could not tolerate Bibi Dong and Yu Xiaojiang having any contact. It's no wonder that the boy has such concerns. It's really that the reputation of the love-brain continent is too big, especially Bibi Dong is the best among them. Yu Xiaojiang on the side shrank his neck. He didn't know if it was an illusion, but he always felt his neck was cold just now. I want to go too. The blonde girl trotted over with her long legs, her beautiful eyes glared. Don't forget, you promised to accompany me all day today. Su Chen, nothing wrong, because he was indeed in the wrong about the information yesterday, so he agreed to the girl's request. As long as it doesn't affect your arrangement there. The silver-haired boy shrugged. He was talking about Tiando's affairs. After all, Chen Renshue's other identity now is Xue Qinghe, the highest person in charge of the Tiando team this time. Don't worry, those people are eager for me to play more outside, don't interfere with them. Chen Renxue waved her hand indifferently. She glanced at the uneasy Yu Xiaogang behind her, leaned close to the boy's ear, and whispered, "By the way, do you really want to take him up?" Her first impression of this so-called Wuhunji theoretical master was not very good, but more curious. I was curious about how a woman as outstanding as my mother could fall for such an ordinary and inexplicably confident person. The main reason for following him was that Chen Renshue noticed that the boy's mood had changed slightly. Well, some things have to be verified sooner or later. Su Chen nodded. The competition will start tomorrow, and the subsequent plans are also very critical. Yu Xiaogang came at the wrong time, but it was also the right time. Chen Renshue pursed her lips lightly, but took the boy's hand actively. Her delicate face turned slightly red, and her beautiful eyes looked at the boy seriously. "Xiaochen, I believe that my mother will not let you down." The sincerity in the girl's eyes touched Su Chen's heart slightly. "Perhaps, I have been labeled a little, after all. Who would have thought that even the cold and arrogant Chen Renshue in the original work could become as gentle as she is now?" That the blonde girl frowned and looked at the boy. "I always feel like you're thinking about something very rude." "Ahem, nothing." Su Chen coughed dryly, turned around and asked Yu Xiaogang, who was looking around, to follow him. "Everything had to wait until we met the Pope's palace." It was late at night, and only the beautiful figure on the high throne remained in the empty palace. Increase the subsidies for the Wuhuan sub-palace and branch palaces, and actively recruit individual soul masters for Wuhuan awakening. The subsidies for registered soul masters also need to be increased, but they need to give priority to the Wuhuan palace when they join the company. Bibi Dong flipped through one report after another in her hand, frowning and thinking from time to time, and left a series of comments. Some of the exact information about the cultivation method can also be released, and Xiaochen's identity issue must also be finalized at this opportunity. As the competition approached, she, the Pope, had more and more things to deal with. If Su Chen hadn't proposed a series of efficient and concise ways to deal with it, I'm afraid she wouldn't have had the opportunity to go back and rest, but even so, she had to work until late at night every day. After an unknown amount of time, the thick report on the desk was finally annotated. "I wonder if Xiaochen is ready." The Pope muttered, his lips curled up, thinking of someone. He felt that the fatigue in his body was relieved a little. "Well, let him use that trick, healing hands, when he goes back." But I don't know what she remembered, and her pretty face flushed a little. "Little bastard, what kind of weird tricks are you using?" That the benefits of that trick to the body are very obvious, but the side effects are too embarrassing. That day, she forgot how she ran out of the underground base, and then soaked in the bathtub for an hour before she felt her limp body regain some consciousness. And that dress, it is completely unwearable. Can't think about it anymore. Shaking his head, dispelling some of the charming scenes that shouldn't have been there, the Pope stood up and stretched, showing his graceful figure perfectly, but then his mind moved, and his wine-red beautiful eyes looked at the door with some surprise. "Hey, why are Xiaochen and Xiaoxue here? And this?" Sensing the fluctuation of soul power that was almost dormant in the corner of memory, Bibi Dong's face changed slightly, and a dark light flashed in her eyes. "Mr. Yu Xiaogang, we are here." The silver-haired boy pushed open the magnificent palace door and made a gesture of invitation. The latter swallowed his saliva, looked at the door in front of him that he had not been to for several years with trepidation, and gritted his teeth and stepped in. It's okay, I know Donger, she likes me the most, even after so many years, she can't forget me." Click, click, the footsteps echoed in a silent hall. Yu Xiaogang recalled the feeling of walking in this hall before, and he became more and more confident. Even straightening his back, he took a deep breath and looked up at the highest point. Then, he was completely attracted by the beautiful figure sitting on the Pope's throne. Compared with decades ago, the immaturity has faded, but it is also more beautiful. The beauty is beyond description, not like a person in the world. The elegance is unparalleled, and the eyes are unparalleled. Yu Xiaogang swallowed his saliva, his Adam's apple rolled, and he felt his heart pounding. Donger. He stammered and opened his mouth with difficulty, but before he could speak, he saw the wine-red beautiful eyes only stayed on him for a moment, then passed him and looked behind. "Xiaochen, why are you here so late?" Bibi Dong smiled, with a gentleness in her eyes that Yu Xiaogang had never seen before.
but this gentleness was not for herself. I went shopping with her, and then I met your acquaintance, so I brought her here. Su Chen also smiled faintly and pointed at Yu Xiaogang. He was in a good mood. Bibi Dong did not have any violent emotional fluctuations when she saw Yu Xiaogang, and even the surprise was only for a moment. This result made Su Chen very satisfied. He has been so hard recently, and he has to compete tomorrow. Hearing the boy's words, Bibi Dong frowned and looked at Qian Renxue unhappily and said, "Why don't you sympathize with him at all?" Qian Renxue. Chapter 80. For the miserable Yu Xiaogang, the curtain gradually rises. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Speaking of which, it seems that I haven't gone shopping with Xiaochen yet. You really enjoy it, the Pope thought a little sourly. No, it's me, it's obviously him. The blonde girl was immediately dumbfounded and pointed at the boy, but before she could finish speaking, she saw those burgundy eyes staring at him. Ah, okay, it's my fault. I shouldn't have dragged him out to play alone. I'll take you with me to the head office next time, right? Qian Renxue rolled her eyes and said lazily, "No nonsense." His Majesty the Pope glanced at her pretending to be majestic, but the slight panic in his eyes still revealed her innermost feelings. Hanging out as a family seems pretty good. It has been a long time since I left this huge cage. The Pope couldn't help but feel excited, and she began to think about the feasibility of this matter, definitely not before and after the game. After this game, Haotian's sect will probably be very busy no matter what if they have to pay the price. Well, how about 2 months later, or? Ahem. His Majesty the Pope, we will discuss this kind of thing later. There are still guests here. The young man looked at the Pope, whose eyes were shining brightly and was deep in thought. He coughed dryly and motioned her to look ahead. The Pope was stunned, and then he remembered that there seemed to be a fourth person in the hall. The smile on Yu Xiaojiang's face was almost unbearable. He suppressed his temper without interrupting, suppressed the jealousy in his eyes, and recalled the voice in his memory. Donger. Me. But before he finished speaking, he saw the Pope on the high seat waving his hand. Let's talk about anything tomorrow. We have something to discuss tonight. Then she continued to look at Qian Renxue and Su Chen, but after a moment, she seemed to remember something. Buzz. The sharp energy passed directly by Yu Xiaojiang's ear, and a strand of hair was chopped into pieces in the air, leaving a thin blood mark on his face. If you dare to say those 2 words again, I will kill you. She glanced at him and then continued to look at Su Chen and Qian Renxue. The tenderness she had never seen before appeared on her beautiful face again. I don't think we have time before or after the game, otherwise we boom 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 boom. His heart was beating violently, and fear flooded Yu Xiaojiang like a tide. He was panting heavily, sweating all over his body, and his whole body seemed to be soaked in water. He trembled, raised his hand tremblingly, and touched the wound on his cheek. His eyes filled with fear. Just a little bit different. It's just a little short of my own neck. Bibi Dong really wants to kill herself. Just because you were called by your nickname. No, it's impossible. Donger is not that kind of person. There must be something wrong. He walked out with trembling steps, 1 step at a time. Etc. A cold and high-pitched voice sounded from behind, and Yu Xiaojiang suddenly raised his head, with hope shining in his eyes. Just the next second, rough soul power surged in. Regardless of his screams, he tore at his body wantonly, and finally pulled out a dark metal token close to his body. Snap. Then, soul power threw him to the ground like trash. No, that's my papal decree. Yu Xiaojiang's face changed drastically after he quickly touched it twice and realized what he had lost. He endured the pain and got up to grab it. However, before he could reach out his hand, he watched with splitting eyes as the papal order was instantly shattered. Peng. Before Yu Xiaojiang could roar in anger, he was wrapped up in soul power and thrown directly out of the Pope's palace. The door was closed and his voice disappeared in an instant. It's so noisy. Bibi Dong gently rubbed her eyebrows, blinked her beautiful eyes and looked at Su Chen, raising a smile. Now, you're the only one with that thing.
The silver-haired boy looked at the fragments on the ground in surprise. The symbol of power that symbolized the Pope's presence was the only one in his hand at this moment. This is really true, master, don't blame me, this is what you wanted to do. Su Chen couldn't help but mourn for the poor master. Then him? Qian Renshue asked curiously. What are you going to do about it? From this point of view, it seems that the man will not give up. What a ridiculous thing. What a wishful thinking, but it actually hit me on the head. The Pope's pretty face looked slightly cold. She knew Yu Xiaogang very well, so when she saw the familiar furnishings and titles on Yu Xiaogang's body, she knew what he was planning. He had originally forgotten about it, but this man insisted on seeking death. Yu Yuanzhen is still in Wuhuan City, so let him live for a few more days. Once the Haotian sect matters are over and the dust has settled, she will start to settle things one by one. Okay, let's ignore these things for now and go back to rest. Xiaochen still has to compete. Bibi Dong yawned, her beautiful eyes flashed, and she looked at the boy. By the way, Xiaochen, can you use that healing hand again? I mean the version with the lowest side effects. She didn't dare to experience the tallest one again, and even if she did, she would never let her daughter see it, otherwise, she would really be shameless. Huh? What is that? I want it too. Qian Renshue's eyes lit up. She had been interested in this for a long time, but Su Chen had always been unwilling to use it on her, saying that it had not been fully tested. Can't I help him test it? Okay, I want everything. Su Chen nodded helplessly. Fortunately, I asked Bibi Dong to test it at that time, otherwise I would have to go to jail. By the way, who of you can still remember that I have a competition tomorrow? The boy sighed and followed the footsteps of two beautiful figures, one big and one small. The three walked out of the Pope's palace, and the crisp laughter of the girl and the woman floated far away in the night sky. At this time, at the foot of the Wuhuan Palace, Yu Xiaogang leaned against the roadside in a daze. His mind was full of Bibi Dong's beautiful eyes without any emotion, and the scene of shattering the Pope's order. Thinking of this, his heart was broken. No way. Dong'er just threw me down. She didn't kill me, she must have me in her heart. He closed his eyes, opened them again, and clenched his fists firmly. The beautiful youthful time in his memory made Yu Xiaogang forget the pain temporarily, and he couldn't help but mutter in his sleep. Dong'er. I will. What will you be sure of? The emotionless female voice came, and he answered subconsciously. I will definitely let you know how much I love you. Before he finished speaking, the voice stopped abruptly. Yu Xiaogang's whole body was stiff, and his head slowly raised. Under the moon, the familiar red-haired woman looked at him expressionlessly. Erlong, listen to my explanation. Ah. The suppressed scream startled a group of night crows, which also floated far away in the night sky. Tonight is destined to be an uneasy night. The storm has not yet subsided, and everything has not yet surfaced, but the succession ceremony of the Pope of the Spirit Hall, which has been long expected by all parties, has quietly opened the curtain. Chapter 85 Opening. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Douluo calendar year 2631, autumn. The morning sun has not yet risen, and there is only a hint of fish belly white in the blue sky, but the plain about 40 kilometers away from Wuhuan City was already crowded and lively. A venue that was nearly the size of 4 football fields was divided up by several titled Douluo and turned into dozens of huge venues. Each venue has separate viewing seats and can accommodate at least more than 40,000 people. Huge soul lighting equipment is placed all around, and the solemn silver background reflects the light, ensuring that no matter what angle you are in, you can clearly see everything on the field. It can be said that in this aspect, the magnificence of Wuhuan Palace is fully demonstrated. There are quite a lot of people. Su Chen stood in the exclusive lounge, looking at the sea of people below through the glass, and couldn't help but sigh. The young man did not wear his usual training clothes today, but put on a set of clothes that Bibi Dong personally selected for him. The white outfit is embroidered with golden dragon patterns, and the logo of Wuhuan Palace is embroidered on the chest. It is both noble and sassy. If they didn't know the inside story, no one would believe that he was only 6 years old. Brother, our grandpa said that this competition is strictly in accordance with the system and requirements of the Continental Advanced Soul Master Academy Elite Competition, and some of the specifications are even far beyond it. If it weren't for the fact that it's not easy to get here, there would be more people. It's a lot. Yin Luo rubbed his hands and looked at the young man in front of him who was almost as tall as him with a little awe. After just one day without seeing him, the latter was almost as tall as him, and the aura on his body became more unpredictable. What kind of cultivation speed is this? Yin Luo couldn't help but smile bitterly in his heart. The 6 of them are also among the top geniuses in Wuhuan City, but in front of this person, they all look like ordinary people. That's right, otherwise why would he be the son of God? Really? Su Chen nodded. Wuhandian has no intention of reducing expenses in this regard, and even intends to make it bigger and more extensive. By the way, Yin Luo, how did you find the person I asked you to find? The boy looked back at the other team members who were sitting on the sofa adjusting their breath, and said softly, he was referring to the person who created the list of members who were a threat to the competition. Su Chen was very interested in that person's intelligence network. If the other party was willing to cooperate, he could relax a little and spread his own plan. The contact was made, but Yin Luo hesitated and said, the other party wants you to meet him alone, Your Highness, and no matter what, he is willing to give you 3 opportunities to collect information for free. It was for this reason that he had been hesitant to tell Su Chen. If something goes wrong with His Royal Highness the Holy Sun because of his news, then he will definitely be blamed for his death. What a wonderful man. Su Chen was stunned for a moment, then chuckled. Tell him for me that after the first game, let him decide the location. Interestingly, it seems that this man is smarter than he thought. The young man thought so. By completely avoiding official meetings, do you want to express that even if you cooperate, it will only be with yourself, not Wuhandian? His Royal Highness the Holy Sun must not do this. I don't know the details of that person. What if? Yin Luo was very anxious when he heard this, but before he could finish his words, he was interrupted by the young man raising his hand. It doesn't matter, I'm sure. Su Chen smiled and patted his shoulder. Thank you. Okay, now, let's concentrate on watching the opening ceremony, and also get to know our opponents. When the morning light shed its first light, this much-anticipated game finally kicked off. Buzz. Amidst the brilliant flashes of light, a man and a woman flew into the sky, opened the microphones in their hands, and looked at the crowds of people with smiles on their faces. Welcome everyone to this competition. On behalf of Wuhuan Palace, I would like to express my most sincere greetings to you all. The sound waves spread, and naturally, their voices reached every corner of the arena. I'm Cece. The woman smiled broadly. I am Kaoko. The man waved. Today, we will host the game. Boom. The 2 of them sang together, the rhythmic drum beat sounded, and the extremely noisy crowd reached its peak at this moment. Then let's explain the rules of this game. Cece reached out and pressed down. Her gentle voice seemed to have magic power, making the noisy scene a little quieter. This competition is divided into 3 parts. First, in the indiscriminate brawl competition, 12 teams will stand on the same field and fight with each other. The final winner will successfully advance to the next stage. Second, the team that wins the brawl will fight against several outstanding teams who are also fighting against it. The winner among them can enter the final stage. Third, the final round, that is, the finals, will be decided by the 2 teams that have defeated countless teams and won to the end. Coco smiled and looked at the people who were holding their breath. He stretched out his hand and pulled, and a crystal-clear box appeared in the air. 3 magnificent soul bones shine brightly in it. Let's decide who owns these 3 soul bones. The Soul Master's Treasure. The Soul Master's Treasure, which was rarely seen in the past, now actually has 3 pieces, and they are still completely different parts. 3 pieces of Soul Master treasures made everyone crazy. They roared with red faces, wishing they could rush up and take all 3 soul bones into their arms. There is no doubt that whoever gets these 3 soul bones will be able to soar to the sky immediately. Teams that did not enter the finals do not need to be discouraged. As long as they can pass the first stage, they can get a precious training material provided by the Spirit Hall. Seeing that the emotions were almost mobilized, Cao Cao nodded with satisfaction. I have said everything according to the instructions of His Highness the Son of God. There should be no problem, right? I believe everyone can't wait, so please invite the new Pope of the Spirit Hall to announce the opening of this competition. Cici cheered, and the curtain behind him opened, and a golden VIP platform appeared in front of everyone. There were only 5 people on the VIP platform, a handsome and noble boy, a humble and elegant young man, a big man lying on his back, a frowning middle-aged man, and, that peerless beauty. They are, the eldest prince of the Tiando Empire, Xue Qinghe, the leader of the Qibao Liuli sect, Ning Fengji. The current patriarch of the Blue Lightning Tyrannosaurus Rex, Yu Yuanjun, the younger brother of the emperor of the Xinghua Empire, Prince Dai Lingxiao, and the current pope of the Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong. Welcome everyone to the Spirit City to participate in this succession ceremony. Her Majesty the Pope wore a solemn robe, with a faint smile on her beautiful face. She stood up with a staff in her hand, her red lips slightly parted. I, the current Pope of the Spirit Hall, Bibi Dong, announced this succession ceremony. Start immediately. Chapter 86 Long Live His Holiness the Pope. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Bibi Dong's voice spread throughout the entire arena. No matter which corner, the solemn declaration of the Pope could be heard. Instantly, the applause was thunderous. Countless cheers came one after another, surging like waves. Thanks to Su Chen's marketing plan for this month, the image of His Holiness the Pope is almost perfect in the middle and lower classes of Wuhuan City, and naturally, his popularity is quite high. When the applause and cheers subsided, His Holiness the Pope's beautiful wine-red eyes swept across the entire arena, lingered for a moment in a place that was barely noticeable, and then said, "All the participating geniuses, you are all geniuses from all over the world. Today, I hope you can fight with all your strength, defeat your opponents fairly, and show the style of the younger generation of our spirit world. I, Bibi Dong, the Pope of the Spirit Hall, hereby promise that all children who participate in the first stage can receive a Spirit Hall Bronze commemorative badge. With this badge, as long as you help the Spirit Hall with some small commissions in your spare time, the monthly subsidy will be doubled, and you can buy various Spirit Master supplies at a permanent 20% discount. And if you participate in the second stage, you can receive a silver commemorative badge. The monthly subsidy will be doubled, and the Spirit Master supplies will be permanently 40% off. And if you can enter the final stage, whether you win or lose, you can get a gold commemorative badge. The subsidy will be quintupled, and the Spirit Master supplies will be permanently 30% off. Wow! As soon as the voice fell, it immediately set off an uproar in the venue. Countless people exclaimed, and the players participating in this game were even more ecstatic. As long as you participate in the game, the subsidy will be doubled, and the expensive Spirit Master supplies can be permanently discounted by 20%. This is a great thing for some civilian forces that are not deeply rooted. Even the Soul Master forces with a family background can't help but be happy. After all, who can dislike having too many cultivation resources? As for the small commission, they subconsciously ignored it. So generous, a small commission is nothing. Just the subsidy fee alone can't be earned back by normal commissions, okay? Teacher, did you hear that? As long as you participate, you can get a 20% discount and the subsidy will be doubled. Then I can save money to buy more co-branded figures. Xiao Ruoyan's eyes lit up, and she excitedly grabbed Teacher Lin's arm and shook it. I know. Teacher Lin waved his hand with a headache. How come this girl has no ambition at all? Ha, a nymphomaniac. A cold voice came from the side, and Xiao Ruoyan immediately exploded, glaring at the cold and beautiful blue-haired girl beside her. Shui Luyun, do you want to die? I think you are just jealous. You are a playboy, you are not worthy of being with me. I will kill you. 80% off, double the subsidy that Yu Tianxin counted on his fingers, his eyes shining, but then dimmed. But I am not a contestant. Yu Lingxing behind him ignored his son's depression, frowned tightly, and kept thinking about the bottleneck, but after thinking about it, he felt that the spirit hall seemed to be giving benefits. This thing is nothing to the 7 major sections. It can't be really to buy the hearts of those middle and lower level soul masters, right? What's the use? What a big deal. He shrugged with emotion and didn't take it to heart. Almost all the people from the forces were thinking about the meaning of this matter, but they couldn't think of any results. In their opinion, this is useless except wasting money and resources. You are still too young. You just came to power and you want to do something to prove yourself. The high-ranking officials in the power shook their heads and whispered, showing some disdain for the young pope. But there was only one person who was different. Ning Fengji sat on the VIP platform with a gentle and easygoing smile on his face, but his eyes under the black-framed glasses were full of deep thoughts. He looked at the graceful back of the peerless beauty, and instinctively, a strong sense of vigilance emerged in his heart. The first reaction of the leader of the 7 treasures glazed sect was no different from that of everyone else. They were all wondering whether the Pope was eager for success and did something irrational because of his hot head, but Ning Fengji soon rejected his idea. From the observations of the past few days in the city, the Pope was ambitious, bold but careful, and could never be such a fool. Why is that? Long live the Pope, and the Pope will live forever. He was thinking, but suddenly heard a hoarse shout. Before Sect Master Ning could react, shouts rang out one after another, and soon became a surging wave. Long live His Holiness the Pope, long live His Holiness the Pope. Long live His Holiness the Pope, long live His Holiness the Pope. Long live His Holiness the Pope, long live His Holiness the Pope. Bang! Ning Fengji stood up suddenly, staring at the excited faces. Most of them were civilian forces participating in the competition. No, it should be said that most of the audience of this game were ordinary soul masters with little or shallow background. These people may not have profound strength or extraordinary talent, but there are many of them, and they come from all over the world. A terrible thought emerged from Ning Fengji's mind, making him a little dizzy and almost unable to stand. Steadily, he knew what the spirit hall wanted to do. No wonder the threshold for this competition was so low. It turned out that from the beginning, the spirit hall had this purpose. Master Ning, what's wrong with you? Do you need me to call a healing spirit master over? A cold and elegant voice came. Ning Fengji raised his head, and found that the other people in the VIP seats were looking at him in surprise. Only that beautiful figure, with a slightly mocking arc at the corner of her mouth, and her wine-red eyes with a smile. No, it's okay. Ning Fengji took a deep breath, suppressed the shock in his heart, forced a smile, and sat back in his seat. He looked at the woman in front of him, only to feel a chill on his back and a slight tremor in his body. If his guess is correct, then 20 years later, this continent will only have the spirit hall, right? Your Highness, the mission is completed, and the brothers have changed into 2 sets of clothes to ensure that no one can find any problems. In the exclusive lounge, the captain of the law enforcement team took off the civilian clothes, changed the hood, and half knelt in front of the boy respectfully. If someone can observe carefully, they can find that the person who shouted in the crowd at the beginning was him. The eyes of the law enforcement captain were full of fanaticism and admiration. If the law enforcement captain had to be loyal to the boy because of his identity before, now he is convinced and devoted. Who would have thought that this turbulent wave was caused by the boy in front of him? Thank you for your hard work. Go to the finance hall to apply. The subsidy of your team will be doubled this month. The boy smiled slightly, took out a pen and paper, and signed his name on a piece of paper. I am willing to die for your Highness. Chapter 87. The draw is over, and the battle is about to begin. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After the law enforcement captain left, Yin Luo next to him couldn't help asking, Your Highness, why can't I understand? What's the point of doing this? This set of operations made him look completely confused. It always feels like a big deal, but Yin Luo really can't understand it. Well, this is just the first step of a plan. The young man smiled and looked at him. Yin Luo, what do you think is truly powerful? So far, the son of Mr. Yin has satisfied him, so Su Chen doesn't mind revealing some. Well, shock the world. Everyone knows it, Yin Luo thought about it and answered uncertainly, then he thought about it, it seems that the spirit hall has achieved this goal now. Hey, are we already strong enough? Then, what if a more powerful force appears? Su Chen smiled and said, stronger than us, more powerful than the world, and more famous than everyone. How is this possible? Yin Luo shook his head like a rattle, touched his head and laughed. Your Highness, this is impossible no matter how you think about it. Even if all three sects unite, they can't reach that level, right? That this is what most people in the Spirit Hall think, and there is nothing wrong with this idea. The Spirit Hall has been cultivating the mainland for thousands of years to have its current status, and this pride is deeply rooted in the hearts of the people, but the premise is that there is no wall hanging before the God King Tang. Who could have thought that this force that has been passed down for thousands of years could be completely destroyed in just a few decades? Yin Luo, I hope you understand the truth. Strong strength is a guarantee, but there will always be stronger people. The power established by power will eventually be destroyed by power. The young man shook his head, stood by the window with his hands behind his back, and said meaningfully while watching the first stage of the draw that was about to begin. The only way to be truly strong is through integration. When all the medicinal materials and soul master supplies on the continent are sold by the Spirit Hall at the lowest price, the crops are cultivated by the Spirit Hall, the schools are all attended by the Spirit Hall, and you can even see the Spirit Hall when traveling, training, getting married and having children, then it will be truly strong. Once our order is established and completely entangled with the continent, then destroying us is equivalent to destroying the entire continent. And this is just the first step. Su Chen turned his head and patted his shoulder with a warm smile on his face. Okay. Go and gather the team members, the draw results are out. The silver-haired boy turned and left, leaving only Yin Luo with a dull face. For a long while, he shivered violently, feeling cold all over, and watching the boy's back as he left, a little fear floated in his eyes. He was not stupid, and he could imagine the terrifying result with just a moment of association. According to the boy's plan, if it really came to that, even if he wanted to destroy the two empires, it would be easy. So scary. At this moment, Yin Luo completely understood why such an arrogant person also praised the boy highly when he mentioned him. Fortunately, His Royal Highness the Son of God is one of us. Yin Luo suddenly felt extremely fortunate that His Royal Highness the Son of God was on the side of the Spirit Hall. If such a person was hostile to the Spirit Hall, he couldn't believe how he would face him. He hugged his arms and shuddered. When he thought of the consequences, Yin Luo's back felt cold. Wait, is the result of the draw out? Patting his head, Yin Luo hurriedly chased after him. On the field, the cheers of the audience never stopped. The noisy waves came one after another, making the teen students who entered the field one by one a little nervous. Most of them were between the ages of 16 and 21, and they were all participating in such a large-scale event for the first or second time, and the competition system this time was even more crazy. Due to the large number of teams entering the field, the host did not introduce them one by one, but only mentioned a few colleges, such as the famous idol group, Tianshui College. There is no doubt that the all-beautiful girls made the atmosphere even more lively. On the contrary, the Spirit Hall team was relatively low-key. Under the leadership of Su Chen and amidst all kinds of cheers, they entered the venue slowly, but many people quickly turned their eyes to the silver-haired boy. They were all people who really wanted to participate in the competition, and they knew that this seemingly introverted guy was also in the top 10 of the threat list. Brother, they are so beautiful. Yin Luo hurriedly led the team to catch up with Su Chen. His eyes were full of love, and he stared at the beautiful girl team that kept waving to the audience without blinking, and his saliva was about to flow from his chin. Not only him, but also the other people in the team, including the girls, were staring eagerly. That's Tangshuichuan, the most famous idol group in the mainland, with 7 albums and singles. The girl who came back from the green-haired dying stamped her feet excitedly, counting the treasures like the back of her hand. As soon as she opened her mouth, the smell that made Su Chen inexplicably familiar came to her face. Stop, stop, stop. The silver-haired boy called for a stop with a headache, turned around helplessly, and looked at the group of boys and girls behind him who seemed to have seen their idols. Don't be excited, play well, and I will get you an autographed photo after the end. It really smelled strong, no need to say more. No matter which world, fans are the same. Godfather, is it true, Godfather? Hearing this, the boys and girls looked at Su Chen excitedly, but at this age, it is understandable. Su Chen nodded with a smile, speaking of which, with his own face, it should be no problem to ask for a group photo, right? Shaking his head, the boy turned around and observed the huge competition venue. Dozens of competition venues were built around the central VIP seats to ensure that the top group of people can see the situation of any venue clearly, because it is too big and too far. If Su Chen does not open the white eyes, he can't even see the situation of the central VIP seats, and can only vaguely see a little shadow. But he knows that Bibi Dong must be watching him. Please, all participating teams, according to the number plates you draw, go to the corresponding venues in turn. Cc's sweet voice sounded in the sky, and at the same time, a special soul guide screen unfolded, and the teams belonging to the venues gradually appeared on it. As the names appeared one after another, there were waves of exclamations from time to time in the venue. Venue number 1, Okoro Academy Team, Flame Glory Academy Team, Dimensional Warlock Academy Team, Mage Academy, Ling Shuang Kamikaze Academy Team and Wuhuan Hall Academy Team. Chapter 88. Is there no one left in the Spirit Hall? A little brat is the captain. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This result of the lottery can be said to be quite surprising to everyone. There is nothing to say about the other teams. Basically, all the teams with names and surnames have been assigned to separate competition venues. This can be regarded as an unspoken rule, which not only ensures that strong teams will not be hastily eliminated in this kind of melee, but also gives weak teams a certain opportunity to show off. But only the Wuhandian team actually collided with the Kamikaze team, one of the Four Elements Academy. In the first round, this means that one of the two teams will be directly eliminated at the beginning. Is the first scene so exciting? Then the Kamikaze team is in danger. This is the Wuhandian team. Humph, don't forget, the captain of the Wuhandian team this time is a 6-year-old kid. That's what you say, but isn't that the one who is said to be both the Holy Son and a genius? Hey, even if you are a genius, you have to grow up, right? Yes, I see that the threat list is just random. How can a 6-year-old kid be in the top 10? Why should he be ranked with a group of soul sects? In the audience seats, they intensely discussed the results of the draw, but most of them were not optimistic about Wuhuan Palace. This is not prejudice, but seeking truth from facts. In fact, because of Bibi Dong's recent good reputation, this is already a mercy. Otherwise, it should be said at this moment that the relationship is coming to trap teammates. His Majesty the Pope, what do you think of the outcome of this game? At the VIP seat, the relatively silent prince of the Star Luo Empire suddenly spoke and looked at the gorgeous woman in the center. The latter's face was cold, but the corners of his mouth curved slightly, and his beautiful burgundy eyes seemed to be staring at something. Hearing this, Bibi Dong turned slightly sideways, her beautiful eyes sparkling. Of course I am optimistic about my holy son. Why, does your highness have any different opinions? In the view of His Majesty the Pope, the outcome of this game, including all subsequent games, is destined. She didn't think Su Chen would lose. Of course, it doesn't matter if he loses, it's just 3 soul bones, and she will make them up for him privately. His Majesty the Pope is very confident in that little guy. Yu Xiaogang leaned on the VIP chair and let out a rough laugh, but there was an unexplainable meaning in his eyes. This kind of blind confidence is not something a pope can say. He suddenly felt that he was a little too sensitive. That little kid was so arrogant. He might not be real, but he might have been spoiled. Young people today. Yu Xiaogang glanced disdainfully at Ning Fengji, who had his head lowered and remained silent, and shook his head. Bibi Dong was arrogant and arrogant. The newly appointed master of the 7 treasures glazed sect also seemed to be a softy. He didn't know what frightened him into being like this. Looking back at my next generation, Tianxin Tianheng is extremely talented, and Tianlong is the strongest in this generation. I always feel that my blue electric Tyrannosaurus Rex has hope of success. I'm very optimistic about that child. Xue Qinghe showed a warm smile, picked up the teacup, took a sip, and said softly, he recalled the way he was pressed to death by the young man's big hands in the garden the day before, and a blush flashed across his handsome face. What a strange and terrifying ability. But the effect is really powerful, even my mother. He secretly glanced at the calm and charming woman. Who could have imagined that this noble and elegant His Majesty the Pope looked even more exaggerated than her last night? Well, that's it. I'd also like to see His Royal Highness the Son of God. Prince Xinglua seemed to smell the unusual flavor in the air and smiled. Snort. Yu Yuanjin snorted coldly and looked at other arenas. As each team entered and stood still, the cheers from the audience never stopped, and when the silver-haired boy led everyone from the Wahundian team into the arena, the cheers reached their peak. Everyone couldn't wait to look in another direction. There, 7 strong-spirited boys and girls wearing uniforms of blue team uniforms also stepped into the ring at this moment. Kamikaze Academy. Although that is very rude, everyone knows that this battle is the home field of these two teams. As the two teams stood still, a large space became vacant around them. Although Su Chen is young and has the lowest soul power, Wuhuan Palace is famous and others are not just ordinary people. Brother, what do you say, who should we fight first? Yin Luo asked quietly. He looked at the 7 figures in the distance with vigilance, his face slightly solemn. If I guessed correctly, those people had a minimum cultivation level of 35 or above. Of course, this is not the most dangerous. Yin Luo's eyes were focused on the smiling black-haired boy at the front of the group of 7. Captain Feng Xiaoyun ranks 6th on the threat list, level, 46th level Soul Sect. And the one with the highest level on his side is himself, and it didn't take long for his strength to break through the 42nd level. Even though he had confidence in his elder brother, he was still feeling worried at the moment. After all, that's a soul power gap of 26th level. Well, protect yourselves and don't overturn the car. Su Chen shook his head and looked at the tall black-haired boy, who was also looking at him. Is there no one in the Wuhuan Hall? After a while, he chuckled lightly, with deep disdain on his face. I sent a little brat like you here. Are you even as high as my waist? As he opened his mouth, the other team members burst into laughter. Captain, don't say that. It's offensive. Ha 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 ha, I am laughing so hard that I am laughing so hard. You have to be merciful later and don't beat me until I lose my height. It's boring. Let's settle it quickly. I made an appointment with Tianshui's sister to have dinner. Hey kid. Such laughter made the other participating teams look at the silver-haired boy a little strangely, and some even laughed out loud. There was no way, even though Su Chen, who was only 6 years old, had grown up in an immortal body and was bathed in the energy of immortal arts, he was several levels higher than his peers, and was similar to some 13 or 14-year-old children. However, the youngest of these contestants is over 16, and is naturally much taller than the teenagers. Although it is not as exaggerated as Feng Xiaoyun mocked, it still exists objectively. Among such a group of people, Su Chen seemed to stand out in a sense. You. Yin Luo's face turned red, his aura surged all over his body, and he stared at Feng Xiaoyun. The other team members were also furious. Whether it was from the spirit hall or personally, it was absolutely impossible for them to accept the humiliation suffered by the Holy Sun. Hey, I'm so anxious. What, did our captain say something wrong? Don't worry, little brothers, we will be merciful later. The 7 members of the Kamikaze Sentai group burst into laughter, and even the people from other teams couldn't help but laugh. If one day they have the opportunity to laugh at the Wahundian team, they will naturally not miss it. Time travel fighting Ma Hongjun, Phoenix, the originator of martial spirits. Introduction. Good news, Ma Hongjun, a time travel fighting hero, has a girl who needs to be developed beside him. Bad news, it seems that my martial soul is not the evil fire phoenix, and I seem to be a pawn of the gods. Ma Hongjun traveled across Douluo Continent and became Ma Hongjun among Shrek's 7 monsters. He thought it was a great start and he could become a god by hugging the thigh of Tang Shenwang. Who knew that his martial spirit was not an ordinary chicken turning into a phoenix, but a phoenix? Side by side with the dragon god, the phoenix, the ancestor of the enemies of the gods. Fortunately, the sky is the limit, and the infinite evolution system has arrived. You snatched the soul bone belonging to Tang San, reversed the line of fate, and was rewarded with 30 evolution points. you stole Xiao Wu, reversed the line of fate, and was rewarded with 300 evolution points. You have gained the favor of the Silver Dragon King, your destiny has been greatly reversed, and you are rewarded with 3,000 evolution points. But as he continued to destroy the plot, the entire Douluo world was ruined. In order to please you, your admirer Xueko launched a fight to the death between Qian Renxue and Qian Renxue. The line of fate was reversed and she was rewarded with 500 evolution points. In order to attract your attention, your secret admirer Zhu Zhuqing took control of the Star Luo royal family and launched a war. The fate line was reversed, and he was rewarded with 700 evolution points. Bibi Dong, if Ma Hongjun is willing to join Wuhuan Palace, he will be the next generation of holy sons. Bo Saishi, sorry Poseidon, but I have a new god who is more worthy of belief. D. Tian, although I am a dragon, I can also play a cameo as a dog occasionally. Ahem, gods of the divine realm, please dragon god, please come back, we would rather be ruled by you.